how do you, as the CEO of Wake Forest football, how do you keep everybody positive? How do you keep everybody kind of pulling in the same direction?
Well, we've got an answer. We got to work harder. We thought we worked hard enough, and obviously we didn't. And maybe we didn't work smart enough. I think everybody takes responsibility, coaches and players. So we're not apt to point fingers at the players. The coach has got to coach better, and we're going to work a little bit harder. That's the only answer I know is when things aren't going well, you just work harder.
Talk a little about that. After the game, I was, heard on the radio your post game, and you're trying to take off bullets. Just talk a little bit about sort of protecting a young team and your young player.
Well, the thing you hate the most in a team sport's an I guy. Somebody that's me, gimme, more, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I am the head coach, and it all comes back to me. If we're not working hard enough, it's my fault. If we're not, if the X's and O's aren't good, it's my fault. And the assistants have to take responsibility, and the players have to go play the game. But ultimately, I'm the guy that makes those decisions. So, I'm trying to figure out better ways to do things, better ways to use our personnel, better ways to practice, better ways to teach. And we're all in this thing together, but ultimately it's my responsibility.
Talk about what are some of those things that you're specifically trying to put your finger on, trying to improve?
Well, I think for one thing, we're going to push our guys a little harder than we have. We've probably been a little bit too nice, I've in my career I've played and coached with some real old school guys and some really laid back guys. We're going to try to be a little bit more old school with our kids right now, and they want that. I think they want to be challenged. We're trying to do a better job at practice than we have done. I think we've maybe spent a little bit too much time, on the grease board, and maybe a little bit too much time in film sessions. So we'll see. We're just, we're really no different than the teachers here at Wake Forest in English or math or science. We're trying to figure out best ways to teach. So we're trying to find out ways to get better. And some guys are visual. Some guys can see things on a grease board. Some guys can see things, when you watch video. But some guys just need to see it on the practice field. So we're just trying to figure out better ways to coach our guys.
All the guys that roll through here, every single one is like, wow, we've practiced more this week.
Yeah, well, I think you can hang your head and kind of pout about it, but that doesn't do much good, And I love our players and I love our coaches, but guys, we're not going to tolerate losing. We're just not going to do it. When we win, we'll go back and learn off the mistakes we made. But when we're not being successful, we're not winning. We're going to work harder. That's just the way it's going to be.
Coach, you talk about not tolerating losing and whatnot. At the same time, the players, they're taking accountability from what we heard once it came through here. Are you seeing that so far this week in practice?
Absolutely, but I think our players know it's not just them. We've got to do a better job. There are some plays we called the other day that didn't work. Obviously, we thought they would, but they didn't. There were some defenses we ran that didn't work very well. Obviously, we can do a better job there. And our special teams, although I thought overall we're okay, we can do a better job there. So I think the players realize it's not about one guy. It's not about the offense, the defense, special teams, or the coaches. It's all of us. We all have to accept responsibility.
Are you seeing a sense of urgency in every drill and every practice session so far? That was something that you spoke about on Saturday when it came, like they would make a mistake and, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to them or whatnot. Are you seeing that change take place already?
Well, I think there's more of a realization that some of the things you do in practice can carry over to the game. And that's what I talk to the kids about in our meetings. Guys, if you think about it, some of the mistakes we made on Saturday we had done during the week, whether it's drop ball, bad throw, bad protection, bad block, whatever. So I think maybe our guys are maybe a little bit more cognizant that, hey, if we're going to do it in practice, it's probably going to carry over the game, so we better do it right in practice.
The running game, 15 yards on Saturday, obviously not going to get it done. I believe it was Dominique who was talking about we got to block better, and we got to stay on our blocks, and we got to stick to them, in order for us to hit the holes and all that, or whatever. It's the inexperience with the offensive line. Can this be turned around?
Well, our goal has been from day one to run the ball better, but our thoughts have been that we want to be the best throwing football team that happens to also run some option, and honestly, the past couple of weeks, we've maybe spent too much time trying to throw the football, and that's maybe a little bit of impatience on us as coaches, trying to. I think we got spoiled the other day when we hit the home run early to Orville, and probably we're hunting and pecking for ways to hit the home run again. So I think from a coaching perspective, we have to be a little bit more patient, and honestly, we're still trying to figure out what our guys can do the best, and that's not always easy. Sometimes you're trying to plug kids into a scheme that doesn't fit them as well as you'd like for it to. And it doesn't mean you scrap the scheme, but you may find better ways to run that scheme, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
Can you speak about Army? You guys are familiar. This is an opponent that you guys are familiar with, but still at the same time, they run an offense that you're not used to, on a week-to-week basis. Just getting ready for them and maybe the familiarity that you guys have going into this game.
Well, a real problem for us last year, we didn't slow these guys down very much, and we had a very high-scoring game. You kind of wondered whichever team could make the other team kick a field goal was probably going to win because it was touchdown after touchdown. And I don't think we want to be in one of those games again this week. The struggles that we've had offensively, I think Army's playing better defense this year. They've changed their scheme a little bit, and they're playing really good football, hustling to the football, playing good fundamental football. And we know their offense is still going to drive us crazy. They have everybody they've played so far. So we've got to do a better job defensively, and offensively we're going to have to find a way to move the football against these guys because we know that they're going to have some rushing yards.
From a scheduling standpoint, it doesn't get any easier. You've got Clemson, NC State, you got the meat of your ACC schedule, right around the corner. How important is a win, or how important is a really good showing this week to sort of get you ready for ACC play?
Well, I think it's really important for us, Kevin, to win, period. We need to win a football game, and going on the road and playing at Army's not easy. West Point's a tough place to play. They got tough guys, and our guys are really going to have to bow their necks and play great football to win up there. But winning's very important. If you looked at our schedule preseason, honestly, I would tell you I think we should beat Presbyterian. I think they're very similar to us at a different level. They're a lower level than the ACC, and I thought Presbyterian's a game that we should win. Even if we didn't play our best, we should have beaten those guys. And then every other team on our schedule, I felt like we had to play good to win. And we haven't done that for 2 weeks in a row. We didn't play good enough, especially offensively. I think our defense can be better. I think our special teams can be better. But especially offensively, we didn't play well enough to win. But I didn't think there was one team other than our opener that we could play and not play good football and win. So we've got to play better if we're going to win, and we need to win.
Coach, can I have you comment on the way Bud's playing this year or whatnot? I asked him, about the level of focus that he is showing this year compared to, the struggles he went through last year, and he gave great comments about that. Can you speak on that as well, as far as how far he's come from last year and the year before that when he was freshman on Fairview?
Well, JB, I thought, at Boston College, we thought we had about, maybe 5 guys defensively that played really, really well, and Bud was one of them. And I think he continued to play well this past week against La Monroe. He kind of had a little bit of sophomore slump last year. Now, he was injured. He pulled his hamstring in August, and he was slow to come back, had a shoulder problem, had to have surgery on his shoulder after the season, so he was a beat-up guy. But the cool thing about Morel Noel, he's not taking anything for granted right now. And we got the old guy back. We got the same kind of enthusiasm, same kind of practice effort, same effort on Saturdays that we had when he was a freshman. So it's just fun to watch now. He's a guy that really appreciates another opportunity to go out and play every week, and it's fun to watch.
Morale is a lot like momentum. It sort of gets going in the right direction, and can snowball. How do you feel the morale has been for your guys?
Well, honestly, I would not want our guys to be real bubbly right now. If our guys were happy about the way things have gone the past 2 weeks, I'd be really disappointed. We're not happy as coaches. I don't think our team's happy, but we're not in the business of worrying about morale right now. We're worried about playing better, and if you play better and you win, it's amazing what that does for morale. So, the 2 losses that we've had are losses that we can learn from. You'd much rather win and make mistakes and learn from them, but we're just a football program and a team right now that's not very happy and needs to play better.
I've seen some of the players talk about, don't count us out. We can turn this around. And, for the people who will turn their back on the program, what would you say to them as far as not counting Wake Forest out this year?
Well, I think, some people feel like the only team maybe we should lose to is maybe playing the New England Patriots on the road, and you can't ever get away from that. But I think, from our standpoint, last year we played pretty good early and didn't play well late. And I'd like to finish. So I'm not happy that we haven't played well the past couple of weeks, but I'm hopeful that we can be a strong team throughout the year and hopefully finish strong.